Hi all, welcome to part 2 of our project where we took some clay and rolled it with an embossed rolling pin and dried it overnight and we also had previously glued it, so be sure to go check out part 1 of the video. And so now we're just putting one coat of Waverly plaster and we're going to paint the entire tray, and we're also going to paint the clay. Once we get that done, we're drying it, and it's just one coat that we're going to be using on this tray. And using the primer that we used on this really helps you get a nice flat paint application. And so that's why I like doing the primer, and also you're going to have a better attachment of the paint to the tray because it was metal. Next thing I'm doing is taking some Tite Bond and putting a layer around the plate, and we're going to use some cloth ribbon. It looks metallic, and really any ribbon, we're going to be painting it, so it doesn't really matter what type of ribbon you use. But it's nice to use something that's flexible like this, because since we're using a round surface, we want to be able to have the ribbon blend with that surface and not have any defined lines on it. It's just a nice smooth round circle that we're putting in the middle of the tray. Once I get that cut and match it together perfectly, we'll be drying it, and then we're going to be putting a coat of black paint. Now, I did also use the Tite Bond glue on this, as I said, and you can get that Tite Bond at Walmart or a hardware store. It's a nice all-purpose glue, and I would not use hot glue on this type of a tray. Hot glue doesn't have the durability or longevity of other glues, especially if heat's applied to it. It starts to liquefy. It's something that can always you can remelt that at any time. So now here we're going to take a black. Now I thought black would be the perfect color to use on this. We're going to do some rubbing, some dry brushing and some metallic to bring out the design of the plate and the embossed clay. So we're going to start with black so that we can then put a lighter color on top of it. So we're going to make some changes along the way, but first thing we're going to do is just get this painted black. Once the whole tray is painted black, we're going to paint the ribbon black, and we're going to paint the inside of the clay, where the clay is in the middle. We're going to paint that black also. So once we get that all coated, we'll dry it. And I did do a fast forward so you didn't have to watch it, but it was just painting one coat of it. And you're going to see that because it was white underneath, you're going to have, and you're using or painting over a pattern. Sometimes it takes a little extra paint in certain areas to get it done. But there we go. It's all dried and it's all painted. And I just going over it with, now I put some white, the plaster paint, on a feather brush, and I'm rubbing it off on a napkin. And the reason I'm doing that is because I just want a little bit on there. Now when you see it's a little darker in some areas, I didn't like that, and so all you do is take your black paint and go over where you felt that you put too much white. And then when you dry that, then you can just go over it lightly with some more white, just till you get the right shade and amount of definition, from the white paint. And after I see this, we might make a change here. So I'm just drying it up. I like it. There's nothing wrong with it. I like it. But so I'm going to go ahead, and I'm not going to use the polyacrylic on the middle of the tray because we're going to be putting resin there. And so what we're going to do now is we're just going to paint the coat of the polyacrylic by Minwax on the outside edges and the top. So everything but the center. And the center, because again, the center we're going to pour resin on in a few minutes. Once we get this whole thing painted with polyacrylic, then we're going to look at it and see if there's something else we want to do to it. Now, you want to just use sparingly, a little bit at a time. It goes a long way. And so you want to make sure that you don't have any drippage, streaks. You want to make sure you're brushing it all the way. So I am just taking any place where I see there might be a pooling of the Minwax, the polyacrylic. I'm just brushing it around just to make sure that it gets evenly distributed. Now, the great thing about Minwax polyacrylic is that it dries super fast. And I'm using the semi-gloss. No, excuse me, I'm not. I'm using the matte finish on this. And so it's giving it just a very dull sheen. So you can see that it's coated, but it's not like jump in your face, glare, shiny, glossy. And I prefer that look. Now, so I'm just getting it off of my brush and making sure that there aren't any clumps anywhere else while I'm drying this. So it's turning out pretty nice so far. I'm liking it. But I'm still, and this, you probably do the same thing. When I'm looking at it while I'm drying it, my mind starts going like, maybe I need to use a different product. Maybe I need to make that center stand out from the outside. So where it's white on the outside, it actually looks like it's silver, like it's shining silver. And so I just wasn't happy with it. I like the outside where the Minwax is, but the inside, I'm just thinking I want to change it up just a little bit. So I'm just gonna use a metallic silver paint, and I'm going to use that same brush, and I'm going to just rub it in the inside so I can give it a little silver coat. I think that's just gonna, so you can see my mind, I'm pausing, my mind is going, okay, do something else. And that's how I roll. So here it is. I'm getting that blue, or the silver metallic, and I'm just gonna put some on the brush, and we're just going to go with that. So actually I'm not going to put the brush in there because I don't want it to get the white, because I still have some of that white on the brush. But when you're using that feather brush like that fan brush, and you're wiping it off while you're working on it, you're not getting a lot of paint on it. So here we go. So I got that in there, and so I like it better. It's a nice silver. So that's ready to go. So now we're going to mix the resin. Yay! So the tray's done, basically, except for the resin. So when you pour the clear resin, you need to use equal parts of A and B. And I'm not adding anything else to it because I do have that ribbon in there and the embossed design on the clay. That's our design. So once you mix and you stir it for 2 to 3 minutes per package, you hopefully pick the correct amount to pour. You're going to put that over the top, and it's going to be self-leveling, and so you just scoop it all out, and then basically it's just going to sit there for about 8 hours before you can actually pick it up and touch it. So make sure you have it where you're going to be able to leave it, or pour it on top, have the tray sitting on a board if you need to move it, so you can pick the board up and move it, and do it fairly quickly so that you can just push it aside and just forget about it until it's set. And after about 8 hours, you can actually touch it. I wouldn't really touch it, but it is set enough after 8 hours. So this is it. I'm just making sure that the resin covered the ribbon, and then I'm going to have a final picture to show you. And the picture doesn't do it justice. You can see the design in there. It is that dark as you're seeing on the plate, but with the camera and the lighting and everything, it's looking a lot lighter. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So when you're doing resin, if you use a heat tool over it, it will help you get the bubbles out. So I did do that for about a minute. I just moved the heat tool around, and I got all the bubbles out, and now it's just going to sit there. And we're going to look at the final picture. Here it is. Ta-da! And see, you can see the design in there at the bottom of it. and the sides, but that is a lot of light on it. It is darker. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back and see me. Crafting with a Purpose on Facebook and Crafting Anonymous on YouTube. Thank you.